Well, I'm here with Tony Caputo, the founder and CEO of Equiti Games, and he's going to be telling me a little bit more about the platform. So first off, Tony, why don't you tell me a little bit more about yourself, your history in the games and tech industry, and of course, how you got into blockchain and why you're using that to build your platform?
Sure. Thanks, Max.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been into gaming since I was little, playing on Nintendo, Sega Master System, the old IBM PS2s and all that. And so, I've just always loved games and grew up in that generation, and always been into tech, programming since I was little, even programming some text-based, games way back in the day, in the early days of the internet. And started out really getting, I would say, into the industry more when I founded LeapTrade.com, which is a peer-to-peer physical game trading site.
Right.
To cut out the middleman of places like GameStop, where you're really not getting the value for your game that you should be, and they're taking most of the money. The person selling it's not getting very much, and the creator of the game is getting nothing. And that led, as I heard more about blockchain, Ethereum, and Bitcoin and all that, but I wasn't paying a ton of close attention when it first came out. And as more and more things came out about it, started looking into it more from a technical perspective. It's like, wow, this technology is actually really amazing, really innovative,
Yes.
and what it could actually do for the future. And it's then that spawned the idea of, because we always knew that digital was going to be an issue in the future, because digital started out really being just locked down. You're essentially just licensing or leasing it, from whoever you're buying it from, whether it's, consoles or PC or music, anything really. And thinking about a way of how do you take that same idea of, kind of cutting out the middleman from LeapTrade that we were doing, and really putting the value back in the hands of the gamers and even the game developers, which we never could do before. So it was like, wow, why can't we have a real tangible digital asset? Why does it have to be just ones and zeros in some company's database somewhere that can be so easily changed? We don't really have any control over it. We're at the whims of, 40, 50 page terms of services, that we never read, and kind of all of that. And so the idea for Equiti really came out of that, of taking the power back for gamers, but also giving the control to game developers in a way they've never had before too. So it's really about, at the crux of it, is being able to sell a pre-owned digital game as a person who owns it. And that sounds weird to say pre-owned for digital, but really, what's the difference, right? I mean, my physical disc plays the same when I sell to, my friend as it did for me. So it's kind of like digital, it's that same world. And I think it's just that those rights that we've given up for the sake of convenience, which I love the convenience of digital, and now we can have both. We can have the convenience and we can have the rights of something that I actually own. I can actually see for myself on the blockchain, instead of it being something that I have to just trust that some company is storing it for me, and that it'll always be there for me in the future.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know that's always one of the greatest things with blockchain, is taking back power and putting into the hands of everyone else, not relying on a third party like Steam, or in Origin's case, EA, and all that sort of stuff. So that's absolutely awesome that you're trying to do that, because I know, especially with Steam, digital distribution platforms take up to 30% of every sale, which is a lot, especially for when you have indie developers who are selling their games for like 10, 15 bucks. That's a significant chunk of money that they could be getting back. So I know that blockchain really allows that to just be a lot less. And what exactly is your guys' ratio, if you can say that?
Yeah, so we have a 10% fee, because we agree with you that the fees are just too high nowadays for the value that is provided. And we can make it cheaper. We can make it more streamlined. So that's what we're doing. And you get a lot of savings, like you said, around there's not the accounting and a lot of like nitty gritty stuff that goes on behind the scenes that really game developers and gamers don't need to care about. It just needs to happen. It just needs to work. And so that's really where the blockchain part comes in there, I think, of being able to provide that like transparent infrastructure layer down at the bottom that just works, every single time, and is transparent and verifiable by anybody. I don't have to trust Steam that I actually sold 500,000 copies of a game as a game developer, I can see for myself that, oh, this is how many licenses were sold. This is how much money I made. And that's all kind of just right in front of you.
Yep, exactly. And also something really cool I noticed you guys are doing with Equiti that I don't think competitor Robot Cash is doing, at least not anything that they've revealed, is you guys seem to really be pushing influencers on your platform and modders. So like that sort of customization. I know you're going to be rewarding modders for putting up content on the marketplace and everything. And I imagine users can do the same, probably like tipping modders and everything for their favorite content, correct?
Exactly. Yeah. And we looked at to create really a holistic approach of not just being another game store, like just blockchainifying a game store. We wanted to really take the power that technology gives us and build something that can work to benefit everybody. Because there's a lot of issues in the gaming industry, well, in any industry, but we've especially had, our eyes on influencers because I feel like they're in this like floating sea of changing terms and advertising, and YouTube changes something and now they have to scramble. And so they have such a huge impact on marketing nowadays. We talked to some game developers that use them almost exclusively for getting their game out there. And what's the awesome thing about this is that those guys actually want to reward the influencers. Like we talked to Luke from Tiny Builds, who's one of our advisors, and he's saying, hey, I want to somehow reward them more than they're getting rewarded today. They're so good for my business that I want them to have, like a piece of what I'm doing. And so we're really looking to enable that and to enable influencers to speak about the stuff that they already love. Because I think it's easy to just say, oh, I'll take money and talk about anything. But instead it's like, oh no, I actually like this game. I want to talk about it already. If I get paid for talking about it when I already want to talk about it, that's like a win-win right there, that you don't even have to think about doing that.
Exactly. So correct me if I'm wrong. So you guys will be providing an entire platform for influencers. So maybe a competitor to YouTube even, instead of just allowing like them to link their YouTube channels and videos and stuff like that. Or am I wrong in that?
It won't be a competing thing to YouTube or Twitch. It's more like providing the easy hooks into that. So building in ability to stream right from our platform, but it will be streaming on the services they already use.
Right.
We're not looking to become another video streaming provider, just to kind of make the interconnection simpler for them, so they can be playing a game and just go and do it right from there.
Awesome. Yeah, because I know Steam kind of does that, but it's pretty buried in, and I don't really think a lot of people use that at all. So you guys not only paying influencers, but making that more of a prevalent service on your platform, that would probably be very helpful for a lot of people.
Yeah, and it's just about, not always that it's something brand new that no one's ever doing, but like you said, just making it a little more seamless, a little easier for them. And then, yeah, like letting game developers like pay the influencers for what they're doing, in sharing of the revenue that they create. So if, hey, I drove 10,000 sales by talking about a game and I can get a little piece of that, that's fantastic for everybody.
Yeah, no, that absolutely is. Everybody wins in that regard. Quick question. Will you guys be offering mining on the platform for people to get like Equiti or anything like that?
Yeah, so we talked about that. There's some issues with mining in terms of, overworking the graphics cards or causing slowdowns in the system and that kind of thing. What we talked about doing is offering like a little like side widget where people could mine if they wanted to, and maybe they could even mine other currencies, like that are like Ethereum or anything else, or they could choose to convert that into Equiti and then buy games on our platform. So we want to be really flexible and transparent with that. Yeah. We don't want to use it as like a way for us to make money off of the gamer. We want the gamer really to benefit from being able to use their hardware to do it.
Definitely. And yeah, that's probably a better approach too, because I know mining is confusing as hell. And I feel like most gamers probably won't even care that much. So being able to streamline that and be able to harness their power with their consent and everything, of course, would just make things much easier for everyone involved. And they get paid for it.
Right. And what we're looking to really do is, even outside of just letting them mine currencies on the side, is look to integrate their hardware into Equiti, in different ways, of how they could, maybe running transactions through Equiti, or, distributing games through Equiti and using their hardware in that way, in a way that's like unobtrusive to just their normal use of their computer. And it's not going to, make their electric bill go too higher.
Awesome. Definitely. Yeah. So obviously you guys are entering a very, very, not necessarily crowded scene, but a scene that is pretty much monopolized by 2, 3, maybe 4 digital distribution platforms. So I understand, and you guys understand that blockchain is a very, very powerful tool. However, there's still a lot of people out there, majority of people that don't, and honestly just see it as a buzzword and just kind of dismiss things when they see blockchain.
Right.
So how do you guys think you'll be able to, do you guys think that the blockchain is powerful enough to be able to compete against like Steam and Origin and even itch.io and everything out there? Do you think, or do you guys have a plan on how you can make blockchain just seem a lot more accessible? Because it is fairly accessible once you look into it and everything like that. Honestly, blockchain really isn't that confusing, at least the basics of it. But how do you guys, or what challenges do you guys think you're going to encounter in making sure that this is accessible and making people realize this is more than just a buzzword? This isn't just a platform. Like you said before the recording, this isn't a blockchain platform that's selling games. It's a gaming platform that's using the blockchain.
Right. And that's a fantastic question, because we have the same skepticism about a lot of projects, even though we are a blockchain project.
Definitely.
And really what it's about, I think, is not like when we market to, we're going out and marketing to gamers and game developers. It's not about the blockchain really at all. It's about what it does for them. And I think one of the key things from a gaming side is, can you sell your digital games today? And the answer is no. There's no way to do that.
Exactly.
Can you sell it tomorrow on the Equiti platform? The answer is yes. And so, does it matter how it's done exactly, like to the the individual gamer? No, they probably don't care. They just love that they can get that money back. I think there's a stat that says 60% of the money that people get from selling their games, in the physical world, they put it right back into buying more games. And I think that number would be even higher on a platform that makes it even easier just to take that money right back and put it back in. And so that's really how we're talking about the platform, is talking about what it can do. And I think beyond just even resale, really what we're about is this open standard of licensing. I think you can't have, like, in other words, EA is not going to trust Valve, and Microsoft's not going to trust either of them, and Sony's not going to, so nobody is right. going to say, hey, I'll use your database of licensing or your licensing standard to make a universal standard of licensing across all of gaming. And that's part of what we're looking to do with the blockchain, because the blockchain is independent of a company. It's not controlled by us. It's anybody can see it, anybody can use it. And so we're building, if you kind of think about it, we're creating a foundational standard for licensing, and then we're building one vertical on top of that. So we're building the Equiti store and the Equiti client and all of that, on top of this foundation, but anybody could build anything on top of it. I mean, Sony, if they want to take, PlayStation and make all PlayStation licensing, Equiti-based licenses, they could do that. Now, we won't receive any cut from those sales, but it'll now be a standardized across the whole thing, where you could buy and sell Equiti licenses across a myriad of platforms without having this walled garden siloed situation that we have today. And so I think those are really, some of the biggest ways that we're looking to change the industry, and do it in a way that's really understandable to other people. Be like, hey, you can use your game across a number of different platforms, or you can sell it across a number of different marketplaces. And I think I'll touch on one more thing in your question is,
definitely,
I think like companies like Itch, like we love what Itch is doing. Itch.io is great. And so part of that whole standard, that universal standard is not just to make it so that anybody can use it, but so that we can maybe empower companies like that are doing these really cool, innovative things. Like, do you need to create all the infrastructure underneath of how you license your games and creating the client and all of that stuff? Can that be more of a commodity thing that we create for you, and you just use it? They can integrate with our APIs, they can maintain all their own branding, but underneath the licenses are Equiti licenses that are now resellable, tradable, that whole thing.
Right. Yeah. And that's even the idea behind Ethereum alone with blockchain platforms, which is great. And that's why it's taken off so much. So I can definitely see that translating over in terms of the games industry and everything like that. That's fantastic.
The nice thing is that as a gamer, you don't need to, you can come right to the platform and use it just like you could any platform you're used to today. You won't be required to go out to an exchange and buy a token and then use it on there. You can just literally come in with your credit card, buy a game, get your game, sell that game, put the money back in, money's in the platform already, go buy another game. And so it's super seamless for them. They don't need to learn about crypto. They don't need to learn about blockchain. They could be blissfully unaware that it's even a blockchain platform, but still get all the benefits of being able to buy a game, sell it, resell their games, and kind of all that.
Right. And that's, accessibility is always the easiest way with this sort of stuff. That's definitely the way to go. So then you guys you're doing internal beta, you said Q3 2018, according to the website. And then, so Q4 2018 is a public beta. Will that be, so anyone can do that, gamers, or is that just going to be more blockchain focused users, or is that just anything, the entire platform will be there and people could just take advantage of it from there?
Yeah, it'll be for gamers. Yeah. And that's, our market is always going to be gamers. Gamers and game developers. So that'll be open to them to use. We'll probably bring some people in a closed beta, prior to that open beta launch, but certainly that's the plan for Q4.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. And then, this completely slipped my mind. I take it people will be able to convert their equity back into fiat currencies if they don't want to spend their money on other games?
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Well, I think that's about all of the questions I have for you guys today. That was awesome. Thank you guys so much for sitting down with me for an interview. That was really interesting to know. Obviously blockchain is still a very, very new early technology, and everyone is just trying to do everything they can in every industry with it. So it's always really, really cool to see how people are trying to stand out from the different platforms and how they're going to compete with the established industries right now and everything like that. So that was some awesome insight right there.
Yeah. And I think what's really cool about this project is, we were just talking the other day about it, is it's a consumer-facing product that's got a big need in the industry today, and it's usable today. It doesn't require building changing every single game that's out there, right? You could just take your game, put it on our platform, and sell it, right? It doesn't mean you have to reprogram your game to work on our platform in huge ways, which is really cool because it's something that can happen much sooner than waiting for a wave of revolution. In 2 or 3 years or something like that, which will be awesome when that happens, but it's always cool to be able to take advantage of technologies right away and get the benefit.
Exactly. Them emerging technologies, right?
That's right.
The best.
For sure.